Greetings to all of you. I hope that you're well, enjoying this incredible weather. I'm actually recording this on Friday afternoon, and literally just before I got ready to record this, Bishop Stephen sent through a communique to church wardens and vicars saying that although the Prime Minister announced that churches can be open from July the 4th onwards, the actual government guidance with all the details of what we can and can't do is now not likely to be ready to possibly Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Following that, the Church of England national experts will look at that and just play with many amendments they've got to their national guidance and submit that to us. And then the group that Nigel Archer chairs, as I've mentioned to you before, will look at all the stuff that we're given and then come up with a very practical proposal to put forward to the PCC about how we can start safely again in church with all the restrictions, all the safeguards, all the social distancing that be necessary. I have to say it's going to be slow. It will be incremental, likely in steps. We're probably not from day one going to be able to have everyone arrived. There's going to be issues to do with seating and all sorts of stuff, but we will go through things as carefully as we possibly can. And as I've said before, when we've got the church ready for a service, we will actually create a video and walk you through what you would expect to see when you do arrive in church, so that you can then make an informed decision on whether you feel it's safe to do so. So watch this space, and I promise you, as soon as we've received stuff, we will pass it on. But as ever, our first priority will always be the safety, and we are not going to rush ahead to opening the church up to services unless we're really sure we've got things in place for your safety. So please bear with us. Nigel and the team are ready to respond quickly as soon as we get all the guidance, and we'll do that. I just want to share today some thoughts from that Romans reading instead of the Gospel reading today, from Romans 6 verses 12 to the end. And as ever, if you've not had a chance to read that, you might want to just pause a moment and read Romans 6 verses 12 to the end, and then come back and join us at this point. In this passage, the Apostle Paul is saying to us, count yourself as Christians dead to sin. What does that mean? Well, it means count yourself as dead to putting yourself first, me first, in life. Rather, count yourself now to be alive to Christ, to be his eyes, his ears, his mouth, his hands, his feet, his heart, to those who you see, and doing the things that he would do here on earth, living out, continuing his purposes, his kingdom values, day to day throughout our lives. And he says a very careful thing. He says it's not just about putting all of our lives. As Christians, there will be things about parts of our mind, parts of our body, parts of our character, that as we become a Christian, we might still be offering that part of our life, or our work even, to sin, me first. But actually, the gospel is about putting all of ourselves in God's hands and in his care for his use. Sin, that me first issue, if you like, in our lives, must not be our master as Christians. And Paul uses quite a topical thing. He uses the imagery of slavery. And where in the evils of slavery, the slaves had no choice as to how they were to behave. If they didn't behave the way that their masters, in all the evils that entailed, told them to do, they would be killed. And Paul says, the slaves, they had no choice, but you do have a choice as Christians. We always do. So we are now slaves, he said, to righteousness. What does that mean? Well, it is about our choice to do what is right, to be righteous, to do what is right in every aspect, to do, in other words, what we think Christ would have us do if he were in our shoes at this stage in time. And Paul says in verse 21, and asked us to reflect on what benefits there were of us in our past to sinning, and in fact in society. So we look around, what are the benefits of people putting me first in their lives, being selfish? And he says that ultimately those who live for themselves die. They die now, as they don't live life to the full that God intended, but also they die eternally from God. And after reflecting on sin, Paul says that we have been set free as Christians, unslaved, if you like, set to live as free people, forgiven people, and to focus on Christ, his ways, his values, his love, and his purposes. And he says our setting free is a gift from God. He ends this brief passage with that familiar verse, verse 23, where Paul says the wages, that's what we will eventually earn, the wages of sin is death, but the gift of God is eternal life. COVID-19 and lockdown has given all of us lots of time to reflect and hopefully grow as Christians. And I wonder, as we come out of lockdown, what priorities may be different in our lives to when we went into lockdown on March the 23rd. What priorities may be different in our lives, that's the Me Too question, than when we went into lockdown on March the 23rd. What things we spent time on for perhaps our gain, our self-interest, might we now be looking to change? Are there parts of our lives we still feel slave to, that me first attitude, which ultimately is sin? Might this be a good time to seek God's forgiveness, his grace, and his help afresh? The wages of sin is death, yes, but the good news is that the gift of God, forgiveness, grace, restoration, is eternal life through Christ. So this week, let's be determined to leave at the cross anything that hinders our walk as Christians, and then to receive afresh God's grace and his love and his strength to live life for him. Amen.